Your toxic boss does not need to overpower you. He needs you to send one email you should not have sent. That is it. One sentence, typed at 11:47 p.m. After 3 meetings, 2 small humiliations, and a Slack message where he somehow made his mistake sound like your fault. The moment you hit send, the story flips. It was, "My manager keeps taking credit for my work." Now it is, "This employee seems emotional, not a team player, struggles with feedback." You just handed him Exhibit A, and he will use it. That email will be forwarded, filed, and quoted back to you in a conversation you did not know was being documented. This is not about you losing your temper. This is about you donating evidence to someone who is building a case against you. The standard advice goes like this: set boundaries, confront the behavior, document everything, and go to HR. Or the LinkedIn favorite, just quit. Your peace is worth more. If you have tried any of this, you already know the problem. Boundaries do not work when your manager controls your projects, your performance reviews, and your reputation inside the building. Confrontation does not work when the person holding power has no interest in a fair fight, and HR is not customer support for your feelings. It is the company's insurance department with a nicer logo. Its job is to protect the organization from liability, not to protect you from your boss. HR looks at a conflict between you and your manager and asks one question: who is easier to replace? Quitting. Maybe you cannot right now. Maybe you are waiting for a visa, a vesting schedule, a job market that is actively eating people alive. So you are stuck. And the advice you keep hearing assumes something that is not true. It assumes you are operating inside a fair system, where rules matter, where institutions protect you, where confronting a problem makes it better. What if the problem is not that you are reacting wrong? What if the problem is that you keep donating evidence to someone who is building a case against you? Here is what is actually happening. I call it the evidence machine. A toxic boss creates ambiguous pressure until you produce a visible reaction. Then he converts that reaction into a paper trail that makes you look unstable, difficult, or unsafe to promote. 3 beats: bait, ambiguity, credit theft, impossible deadlines, moving goalposts, a question designed to make you defensive, a small humiliation in a meeting that nobody else noticed, reaction, the angry email, the defensive comment, the visible frustration, the over-explanation, the desperate need to be understood. Paper trail, not a team player, struggles with feedback, communication issues, performance concerns. Notice what just happened. The boss did not have to do anything visible. He did not yell. He did not threaten. He just had to get you to move first. And you did. Because you care about your work. Because you wanted to be heard. Because you are human. He creates the risk. You carry the risk. He supplies the bait. You supply the evidence. That is the whole business model. And it works because most people never realize they are in it until the paper trail is already written. The question is not how to win against this person. The question is how to stop supplying the evidence. About 2,700 years ago, a man named Zhuang ran the state of Zheng. His younger brother, Gong Shuduan, was building power. Their mother openly favored the brother. She demanded that Gong Shuduan be given a strategically crucial city, the kind you use as a base for rebellion. Zhuang agreed. Gong Shuduan started fortifying walls, stockpiling weapons, expanding territory. Advisors warned of a coup. Zhuang said something that has survived 27 centuries. Roughly, if someone keeps doing wrong, he will destroy himself. Just wait. He waited 22 years. For 2 decades, Gong Shuduan kept pushing, kept testing, kept believing his brother's silence was weakness. Finally, he launched his coup. And Zhuang, who had spent those years watching every move, crushed the rebellion in a single campaign. Gong Shuduan fled. Zhuang did not even have to look like the aggressor. Strike early, and he would have been the villain, his brother the victim. By waiting, he let his enemy reveal himself. When the attack came, everyone could see who the real problem was. The first rule of the evidence machine. Do not move before the villain shows himself. Your job is not to expose your boss. Your job is to stay out of the way while he does it himself. Here is another one. Sun Bin was a military strategist around 340 BC. He and Peng Zhuan studied together under the same master. Childhood friends, closer than brothers. Zheng Zhuang got a job first, general of the state of Wei. He was good at it, but he knew Sun Bin was better, and instead of being happy for his friend, he got terrified of being replaced. So he wrote Sun Bin a letter. Warm, enthusiastic. Come to Wei. We will work together like old times. Sun Bin came. Zheng Zhuang immediately framed him for treason. The sentence was brutal. They chopped off both his feet. Then they tattooed his face, a permanent mark of shame, so every person who ever looked at him would know he was a convicted criminal. He could not walk. He could not hide. He was a cripple and a prisoner in a state where his best friend held absolute power. If the standard advice applied here, it would say, maintain your dignity. Show them they cannot break you. Sun Bin did the opposite. He feigned madness. He screamed at strangers in the street. He slept in pigsties. He picked food off the ground and ate it like an animal. He sat in his own filth and laughed at nothing. Zheng Zhuang sent people to check on him. They watched him eat garbage. They watched him crawl through mud. They came back and reported, he has lost his mind. He is worthless, and they stopped watching. That was the moment the cage opened. From the pigsty, Sun Bin was studying the political landscape, mapping alliances, planning, waiting for one crack in the system. It came when a diplomat from the state of Qi visited Wei. Sun Bin made contact in secret. The diplomat hid him in a carriage and smuggled him out of the country. Sun Bin escaped. He became the chief strategist of Qi. And in one of the most famous battles of ancient China, he used the exact same military brilliance Zheng Zhuang had tried to destroy, the same mind they had tried to break with iron and shame, to crush his old friend's army. Zheng Zhuang, realizing he had been outmaneuvered by the man he crippled, killed himself on the battlefield. Let me just stop here for a second. That story is not about revenge. It is about the logic of invisible survival. When direct resistance is impossible, when the power imbalance is so extreme that any open move gets you destroyed, the only winning move is to make your enemy think you are already defeated. Sun Bin did not fight Zheng Zhuang. He made Zheng Zhuang stop watching him. That is when he escaped. The second rule of the evidence machine. Your toxic boss cannot watch you 24 hours a day. If you stop reacting, stop defending, stop trying to prove yourself, if you become genuinely boring to him, he will eventually move on, and that is when you have room to move. A third story, a different kind. Ying was the prime minister of Qi. His king was murdered by a powerful minister named Zhu, whose people now controlled the capital. Every official in the court had to pick a side, fight the new power and die, flee the city and abandon your post, submit and become complicit. Ying did none of those things. He walked to the palace, past armed guards who had just killed a king. He walked in, found the body, and mourned, properly, formally, publicly. Zhu's men surrounded him. Are you going to die for your king? The king was not my personal king. Why would I die for him? Then will you flee? Why would I flee? I have done nothing wrong. Then will you go home? The king is dead. Where would I go? He did not fight. He did not run. He did not submit. He refused to accept any of the options they offered. He performed his duty and walked out alive. And Zhu could not touch him, because Ying's power came from a definition of himself that no one else could control. That is the third rule. Your boss wants you to engage on his terms. Get defensive, explain yourself, justify your work, prove your loyalty. What happens if you just do not answer the question he is asking? Can you explain why this task took so long? I did the work. It is done. What is next? You need to be more of a team player. I will keep that in mind. There is a specific voice for this, not passive, not aggressive. It is the voice of someone who has decided that the boss's opinion is not the most important thing in the room. All right, let me give you something you can use tomorrow. 1. Answer slowly. Before you respond to any provocation, count to 5. The pause itself is a move. It always has been. Silence makes people uncomfortable. Let it. 2. Write boring emails. Every email you send should be so neutral that if it were read aloud in an HR investigation, it would help you, not hurt you. No sarcasm, no tone, No emotional language, just facts, dates and deliverables. Boring is safe. 3. Document privately. Keep your own record. What was assigned? What was changed? What was delivered? When you were told to deprioritize something that later became urgent, do not use it yet. Just have it. Knowing you have receipts changes how you carry yourself in a room. 4. Use one answer for every loaded question. Your boss asks, "Why is this late?" You say, "Here is where it stands, and when you can expect it." No explanation of why it is late, whose fault it is, what got in the way. Just the status and the date. That is one sentence. A bridge too short for him to build a case on. 5. Build options before you make a public move. The best time to update your resume is when you do not need to leave yet. The best time to talk to a recruiter is before things get bad. A person with options is very hard to trap. Without options, every risk feels existential, and desperate people make bad decisions. None of this is about being calm. Calm is a feeling. You cannot control how you feel. This is about being boring. Boring people do not get watched. Boring people do not get documented. Boring people survive long enough to make their real move. Let me be direct with you. Your boss is not looking for the truth. He is looking for something he can print and file. Do not donate emotion to someone collecting evidence. The goal is not to stay calm. The goal is to become unusable as evidence against yourself. Tomorrow morning, when he starts his routine, the credit theft, the small humiliation, the impossible deadline, try nothing. Not passive silence, active stillness. The kind that says, "I see what you are doing, and I am not playing." Because here is the truth your boss does not want you to figure out. Your reaction is not an emotion. It is evidence he is trying to manufacture. And you can stop making it anytime you want. That is the whole play.